What is going on, everybody? My name is Nick, and welcome to episode 9 of season 2 of the Good Schmidt podcast. This episode, I'm going to be talking about my adventures from this past weekend in Tampa, Florida. So I went down to Tampa, Florida, and ran in a road racing event called the Gasparilla Distance Classic. And there's this challenge that I was a part of where I ran in 4 different races. And yeah, without further ado, let me talk about each race. So the first race of the Michelob Ultra Challenge down in Tampa, Florida for the Gasparilla Distance Classic was the 15 kilometer, which is an event I've never ran. I mean, I've ran 9 miles, but I haven't all-out raced a 15 kilometer race, so pacing-wise I didn't really exactly know what I was doing. But I ended up doing very well here in this first race of the Ultra Challenge. My time was 53 minutes and 4 seconds. The course was out and back, so I went out pretty hard to start. I had a 7 mile an hour wind pushing me out from the bay, so that definitely helped. So my first mile was a 5:25. I think I was just really excited. Adrenaline was flowing. I passed a bunch of people at the beginning just to get out and I make sure I didn't get boxed in. So that first mile was fast. And then I reeled off a couple of mid 5:30 miles from mile 2 and 3, then a couple 5:41 miles, and then settled into like 5:40 or 5:50, around 5:50 pace for miles 6 to the last mile, and then I closed hard in a 5:29. There was a stiff headwind in this race, so that was tough to run back in. I think that's why my splits got progressively slower in this one. So, pacing-wise, like I said, I didn't really know what I was doing in this, but I'm still happy with this race, despite going off fast. I ran a fast time, and a new 15K PR to kick off this challenge. And I should mention this race took place Saturday, February 22nd. That was the first day of the challenge. I got there on Friday, and I went with the team that I'm on, Barn Racing Team, and my travel partner and fellow competitor who also did the challenge. His name's Bill Cook. Stayed with him, and he did the 4 races as well. So that was really cool. And we went with a group of 12 other people. There was 12 of us total from the team that were there, and all of us competed in some way. Everybody else besides the coach's wife did 2 races. So 9 of us did 2 races, and then coach's wife walked the half marathon because she can't run because she had a cancer scare a couple of years ago. She can only use 20% of her lung capacity, so it's amazing that she's still alive. So, and also I should mention about these races, this is off topic for what I was just talking about. All of my races I ran in the Hoka Mach X's. So, yeah, let's talk about the 5K here, the second race. This took place later in the morning, so on Saturday, the 22nd. Well, the first race was at 6:45 in the morning, Saturday morning, and the second race was only a couple hours later, at 9:15 a.m., and it was the 5K. I ran a time of 17:59 here, to break 18 minutes. Again, another out and back course. It just went out and back on Bayshore Boulevard like the 15K did, but it was shorter, obviously, because it's a 5K. I ran a smarter effort here for this one. I think my pacing strategy was better. I went out at a 5:43. Then my second mile was just under 5:40. Under 5:40 is 5:37. Then a 5:30. Then a 5:42, and I closed hard the last 0.1. There's plenty of groups to run in this one, and I passed a bunch of people, at least like 6 people in this race. So that was great. And just another note about this race: it was a lot warmer for this one. It was in the 60s temperature-wise. You'd think it'd be warmer in Tampa in February, but it was a little bit cooler in the morning. In Tampa that day it was 47 degrees, and I ended up wearing a long sleeve for that 15K. And I ended up rolling the sleeves up about like 10 minutes in. And this one I did not wear a long sleeve because it was in the 60s. It felt good. The breeze was less noticeable, I think, just because the sun was all the way out now, and yeah, it was just warmer out, so I didn't notice it as much. So good stuff in the 5K. I was on a good track here with this challenge, and on to day 2, Sunday, February 22nd. This was a huge race. This was, for me, this was the half marathon. I ended up surprising myself running a PB here on tired legs after 12 miles of racing the day before. I ran a 1 hour 17 minute and 23 second half marathon. I mean, I ran incredibly well here. The first 4 miles I ran around this island, or I ran around the island. It's called Davis Islands, and I ended up finding a group of a few ladies to run with, and there was a guy that went with me and these 3 ladies. We locked into about a 6 minute mile pace. It was between like 5:55 to 6 minute pace for the first 4 miles. I stuck with that, and then I dropped the pace about 5 seconds, mile 5, 5:49, and then I increased a little bit more, a second more on mile 6. Then I was about 6 flat on mile 7. Just kind of stayed consistent for the next few miles. And then that last mile, I dropped the hammer. Put in the torpedoes, as one of my former college teammates used to say. Unleash the torpedoes. Ran a 5:38 for mile 13, and then plus 0.2, dropped a 5:19 split to finish strong. Cause I saw the clock when I could see the finish line, and it said I was at 1:17, and I was like, whoa, holy cow! I thought, because I was running a bunch of 5:50s, that I was gonna run like an hour and 21 minute marathon. Cause yeah, I was consistently running like 1:20 pace, but I had dropped the hammer on that last 13. Or on that last mile on mile 13, and that made the difference for sure. Yeah, and yeah, I'm really proud of this race. This was by far the best race of the weekend for me, for sure. And to close out the weekend, I was really tired at this point for the 8K. Later in the this was also at 9:15 in the morning, just like the 5K was the previous day. I was just really tired. It was getting hot. The sun was out. Yeah, it was in the 70s. I just took this as a cherry on top. My plan going into the 8K was to start at 5:50 and then drop down to 5:40s or 5:30s if I can. But I just couldn't. I fell off by mile 4 of this 8K to 6:10 pace, but then brought it back to under 6 minute pace for the last mile, and finished under 30 minutes with a 29:36. With a time of 29:36. Yeah, just the heat and the volume of racing I did prior to this got to me. This capped off a memorable weekend for me. I ended up winning the overall Ultra Challenge out of 286 people. Yeah, just super proud of myself and my teammates on Barn. I could not have represented the Barn kit any better way than winning this challenge. It was phenomenal, man. Just phenomenal. Great weekend of racing. And yeah, I won a bunch of medals. I'll hold these up to the camera for you so you guys can see them. For individual races, I got a medal for each race. So here's the 15K. Very colorful medal. Here's what the back looks like. Here's the 5K medal. It's a shiny yellow medal. And the back just says 5K finisher Publix. The dates in Tampa, Florida, just like the 15K medal does. And then the medal for the half is super cool. It's a pirate with bones on it. It's pretty heavy too. It's almost like 2 medals in one. It's got Cracker Jack, the Gasparilla logo on it. The parrot. And the last individual race medal, the 8K. Sparkly purple medal. And the granddaddy medal of them all, the big challenge medal. This one is super dope. It's actually a bottle opener, and it's got a pirate flag, and it has the Gasparilla logo. So it's got the half marathon medal on it, basically, in the middle with the flag. And it says Gasparilla on it. 2 days, 30.4 miles in all the races. Yeah, this thing looks like a bottle of rum. It actually has a bottle opener on top, which is pretty dope. And then since I won the challenge, I had this little attachment coaster thingy. I don't know what you call this, but yeah, this was the award for winning the overall challenge. This is pretty cool as well. And I heard from Bill, my teammate, that I'm supposed to be getting a plaque, which is pretty cool. So when I eventually do get that, I'll post that on my Instagram, and my Instagram, you guys can see that. So follow me on Instagram for a plaque post in the future. But yeah, those are all the medals, and throughout the video I'm gonna show race photos that I got, because I ordered the photo package for all the races. I'll have a bunch going, like, on the video in the background. But yeah, just overall, in summary, this challenge was really hard by the end. I mean, my coach Jack, the coach of the team, was right. Like, the 8K was just about making it through, because I was tired from all the races. Having run a half marathon on the same day and a 15K and the 5K the day before, it's just a lot of volume going into an 8K. But I was proud of myself that I was able to race 30 miles in an overall time of 2 hours and 58 minutes. And I heard from a teammate yesterday, actually, when I was Ben. He said that that's the fastest time that anyone's run in the Michelob Ultra Challenge at Gasparilla since 2013. So that's a neat tidbit for sure. So yeah, definitely a very memorable weekend. Got to have some good seafoods, good drinks, hang out with the barn folks. It was a fun time. Just a very memorable weekend down in Tampa. Now, before I end this podcast, I'm not just gonna end it there. I do have a couple more topics to talk about. One being all the world records that have gone down in February. I can't possibly talk about them all, but I'm going to hit on most of them here. So I'm going to talk about that, and I'm going to talk about the Tokyo Marathon that went down today in Japan. So it was the race actually happened Saturday night here in the U.S., but it was Sunday morning in Tokyo because there's a 15-hour time difference. So I do want to touch on that to cap off the video. Let's get into these world records. I'm just gonna start listing them off, giving some brief thoughts about each one. So on Saturday, February 8th, was the Milrose Games at the Armory in New York City, and there was a couple of world records that went down there. The first one being Grant Fisher breaking the indoor 3,000 meter world record in a time of 7:22.91. He took down Cole Hawker in an absolute classic race. If you haven't seen that race, go and watch it on YouTube. Just look up Cole Hawker 3,000 meter world record, and it should come up. It's a fabulous tactical race, a really fast race. Cole Hawker took the lead with I want to say it was 600 to go. Yeah, he took the lead at 600 to go, and I'm thinking, oh, is he trying to break Grant Fisher at this point? But Grant Fisher stayed with him and ended up passing him in the last 100 meters or so. It was just a special race to watch, and definitely think that Cole Hawker was humbled and motivated from Grant Fisher from that race. And yeah, it's going to set the stage for those two to face off again in future races, hopefully in Grand Slam. Then the second record was Yard Goose running a mind-blowing time of 3:46.63 to set the mile world record. I mean, I don't really have much to say about this one. I was shocked that the Goose was running that fast, and in that race, in that mile race, it was incredible. And Hobbs Kessler hung with him for as long as he could. Yeah, just insane stuff there. And then on Thursday, February 13th, the very next week, Jakob Ingebrigtsen says to Yard Goose, "Hold my beer," and breaks his mile record, running a 3:45.14 in Louvain at a meet in Louvain, France, and also in the process took down the 1,500 meter world record. It's just Jakob Ingebrigtsen doing Jakob Ingebrigtsen things right there. And then the next day, I sound like Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob. On February 14th, Valentine's Day, at BU, Grant Fisher breaks yet another world record. He had a bunch of help from pacers about half of the 5,000, but this was still impressive. He ran a 12:44.09 to break the indoor 5,000 meter world record. Again, you gotta check out that race. It's super fast if you haven't. And Grant Fisher's just on another level right now. Right now, he's just gotta pray he stays healthy and is able to compete well at the Grand Slam meets this year. And then the second to last world record I want to touch on is probably the most impressive of the entire year and in recent memory. And this is Jacob Kiplimo of Uganda setting the half marathon world record in 56:42 in Spain. He broke the previous record set last fall by Yomif Kajelcha by a staggering 48 seconds to become the first sub 57-minute half marathon runner in history. I mean, I was at a loss for words when I saw this. I just thought this was super impressive. Really, no other way to describe it. And one note about this is Kiplimo thought the pacemakers were going too slow, and he just took off in this race after the first 5K. And yeah, from there he ran a blistering race, just insane stuff. And then just the other day, we had yet another record go down. And this comes to no surprise. On Friday, February 28th, Mondo Duplantis breaks his own pole vault record again. This is for the 11th time, and it was at a meet in France. He vaulted a 6.27 meters on his first attempt to break his previous record by a centimeter. It's crazy stuff from Mondo, and he's able to continue to better himself over and over again. And then to cap off this episode of the pod, I want to discuss the Tokyo Marathon, which just happened. It's the most recent event in road running and track and field here. Like I said, just took place today, March 2nd, 2025. And one of my teammates, who sadly couldn't make it to Gasparilla, but he was in Tokyo. He ran Tokyo for a greater purpose. He ended up completing his 6-star journey, finishing the Tokyo Marathon in 3 hours and 28 minutes. Shout out to Dave Marsali. I'll show you I'll put the picture up on the screen that he sent me with all his medals from the World Marathon Majors and his 6-star. It's super dope. So again, shout out to Dave Marsali for achieving his 6-star. It's really a lifetime achievement because it's thousands of dollars to travel to all those marathons, and he even did Sydney, which was just added as a World Marathon Major, but they don't have a 7-star medal yet. And then for the elite races, it was near perfect conditions to start. It was probably like 50s. I don't exactly know what the temperature was, but it warmed up and it was sunnier as the morning went on, so the times weren't as fast as probably some people were expecting they were going to be. Both of the opening splits in these 5K splits in the men's and women's elite races were very ambitious. There was a 14:25 first 5K split in the men's races. They were on sub 2-hour pace. They were not going to be able to hold that up with the conditions. On the women's side, it was a 15:35 opening 5 kilometers for 2:12 pace, and they weren't even close to holding that up either. And after like 20K, the pace had slowed down significantly in these races. On the men's side, Tagase Takale of Ethiopia won the Tokyo Marathon in 2 hours and 3 minutes and 23 seconds. Second place was Derisia Galeta of Ethiopia in 2:03:51, and then third place was Vincent Kipmoy Ntetich of Kenya in 2 hours and 4 minutes flat. And a couple other pros I was following closely in this race. Benson Kipruto, last year's champion, was 7th, 2:05:46. That's a good time. And then Joshua Sheptagai in his second marathon ran a PB of 2:05:59 for 9th. I'd say he's probably pretty happy with that. It was almost a 3-minute PR from his first marathon. So it seems like he's getting close. He's taking a step closer to figuring out the marathon. For the women's race, the champion was Sudame Kabede of Ethiopia in 2:16:31. She's the back-to-back champion, as she won Tokyo last year as well. Second place was Winfrida Mora Mosede, who ran a smart race in 2:16:56. She's from Kenya. And then third place was Hawaii Finsa of Ethiopia in 2:17. So overall, it looked like a pretty interesting Tokyo Marathon. And yeah, that is going to wrap up this episode of the Good Schmidt podcast. That was all I really wanted to talk about in this episode. So yeah, hopefully you all enjoyed it. And in the next episode, I plan to discuss the Boston and the London marathons. Those are going to be a doozy, very stacked and competitive fields. I'll try to get more depth on those if I can. So yeah, once again, my name is Nick. This has been the Good Schmidt podcast, and I'm signing out.